Welcome to the Real Chat Podcast,
where we talk business, lifestyle, and mindset.
For the modern entrepreneur.
I'm Baxter Colburn.
I'm Allison Elise.
I'm Mandi Wilkie. Let's chat.
And I see you, I see me.
I'm excited.
And we're live.
I think we're good now.
Yeah.
Season 2, we've been off for a few weeks. It's the tech stuff is not going to work the first time, right? But we're back.
You get what you pay for.
How do you even run a podcast?
It's a great question.
We're all learning.
It's true. But we're apparently doing something right, because in the weeks that I've been off from recording and you've been off from recording, I've had more people come up to me, and maybe this has happened to you also, of people asking and saying, hey, like, I love your show. I love listening to it. And I told somebody yesterday, I'm like, if somebody doesn't tell us directly they're listening, like, we don't know the numbers. Like, yeah, that's great. 200 people listen, but who are those 200 people? Right. You don't have no idea.
It's not like we get a heart, like a Facebook like.
Right. That's at least like, oh, you saw it or something, right?
Yeah.
Notification that pings on your phone at 3 a.m. that says,
because we all
Susie listened to your podcast.
Thank you, Susie. That would be super helpful.
We all need one more place to check to see what's going on in our life.
Maybe
we love that.
Maybe the podcast world has it right. They tell you the numbers, but they don't tell you who or what
when,
or any of that.
Pretty Woman, we say who, we say when. Never mind.
I feel like I've seen that movie.
I say
terrible
who.
with movies. Is that Mel Gibson? No, who's in Pretty Woman?
Come on. That is Richard Gere and Julia Roberts.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
I say who, I say when, I say who.
Come on.
Yeah. Okay, sorry.
I haven't seen most of the movies you're supposed to see, unfortunately, or the world says you're supposed to see.
That'd be a good date night one. Date night movie.
There
Pretty
you go.
Woman.
I like that.
There you go.
That. Okay.
So somewhere in season 2, this will
I think
launch.
so. It might be the first episode. It might be the 17th episode. I don't think we're going to do 17 episodes, but maybe if the people want them.
It's what the people want.
The limits are endless.
It's true.
I will say that I have had multiple clients and people that are just like, that was just so fun to listen to that first season. When is the second season coming? And I was like, working on it.
Right.
We're just trying to get paid.
And we need Baxter's baby to come, because then that'll free up some things.
That also would help our scheduling if we knew when the baby was coming. So
that would help. We're working on it. 4.5 weeks away at the time of recording.
Gosh, that went fast.
This is crazy.
Yeah. We're very, very close. Allie's taking our maternity photos on Thursday, and it's going to be beautiful. So
It's going to be a little chilly.
Well, if you could get the maternity.
Yeah, I know.
It's nice today.
Rio has a Christmas play, an Easter play tonight.
Darn it.
If you could get the maternity photos and then just like back them up with the new baby photos, like maybe the same
That
day.
happened to me.
Did it?
I took somebody's maternity photos, and I did their engagement and their wedding and their family and all these things. So I comped them some of their session.
Yeah.
And she didn't want to do a maternity pictures, and I was like,
you have
We've
to.
done everything else,
you
though.
do want to. And I was like trying to tell her, I was like, what if like we just do this for like a really small price instead? And she's like, sure. And she had her baby like 3 days later.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
So it's like, well, cool.
I don't think that's going to happen. I joked with Rachel, though, because I'm like, my mom's in town right now visiting family. I'm like, this is the time to do it. Like, grandma's in town. Like, this is when we should have the baby. And she's like, we're still a little early. I'm like, he's fine. He's probably almost 6 pounds at this point.
Right.
He'll be fine.
He's cooked.
Yeah. I think he'll be okay. But still very exciting. The room's all ready. All the things are ready. So.
Well, next week, she's going to be considered full term. Because 37 weeks is full term.
Is it? When did that change?
Who makes that decision? I don't know.
It's just considered full term.
Wow.
37 weeks is like viable pregnancy, regardless of anything, like chances of them surviving if you have babies. Obviously,
like everything's developed.
Your baby's good. Which 4 weeks, like it's the same. They'll be
true.
good. You know what I mean?
feel like mine.
It's a viable pregnancy at that point. Obviously, like
it's true.
If any complications were to arise at 20 weeks versus 34 weeks, 35 weeks, it's very different.
Gotcha.
I definitely thought you were going to say it's a vibe at that point. Like, it's just a vibe. At 37 weeks, you're just vibing, ready for the baby.
Mine's
just vibing.
Life.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really on task today, you guys.
I love it. I will tell you, though, that I did find out that most likely we're going to have only part-time care for him when he goes back. So on Tuesdays, I'll have to bring him with me.
Oh, I love that.
So then you'll have to maybe get some snuggles and all that.
Absolutely.
So initially, I was like, oh, we're fine, Rach. I was like, I think he'll be okay.
Every time you post with your new nephew, I'm like, oh, I just want another baby.
So cute.
Baby fever.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
100%.
It's so fun. I can't wait to see his face. I can't wait to see your baby's face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm very fascinated.
I was so excited to see my sister's second baby. And
which looks exactly like the first baby.
Yeah.
A spitting image of his brother.
Yeah.
But that's like one of the most like exciting things for me is seeing what the baby looks like 100%. And knowing you and Rachel and knowing what your boys look like the third boy.
Correct.
Oh, it's just gonna be so cool. I feel like it's gonna be so fun.
Have you seen the TikTok trend that moms are doing with like my firstborn then, and then it like swipes
like
to my
10 years later
now.
or something. Yeah.
Yep.
And it is interesting because now like my son is an adult, right? He's 18. And I look at him now and I see his face and then I go back to that baby picture and I'm like, right? And so many of their features stay so similar, strong and so similar. And then there's a few that change. Yep. But Gavin looks exactly the same now as he did then, except for he had a full head of black hair.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I was blonde and curly when I was born, so it's changed a smidge.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Wild.
Anyway, yeah. It's a little crazy.
Life.
Won't be any more babies for me. It'll just be grandbabies.
Let's say you're
in several years.
In several years.
In several years.
Multiple
In case
years.
I didn't say it, in several years.
If you're listening.
You're listening and you're my offspring.
Closer to
I'm
like
not ready
7
yet.
to 10. We don't need them tomorrow, right?
Yeah. we did know we were just on vacation. And I think Shane has more of the grandbaby fever desire than I do.
Because his kids are closer?
His daughter is 22, 23, and his son is 19. So we're not that far off when you think about it.
That's really true.
Mean, they seem so young, but 5 to 7 years is when we were having kids.
It's like I had my first at 24. So.
I could be a grandma.
I was a mom at 21. So.
Yes, you
I was like, y'all are late to the party.
Yeah.
Welcome to the party.
But it's a whole different thought process.
Absolutely.
I think there's part of us that would have loved to have our own children together. But then we wouldn't have the life that we have right now either. Yeah. And you do get a little more selfish as your kids get older in the lifestyle that you live. 100%. So I remind him of that often. I'm like, if we would have had our own, which you guys know, I have an 11-year-old. So 4 or 5 years ago, I could have another baby.
Yeah, 100%.
Right,
but no.
Right.
No. But now looking at it and saying, gosh, grandparents, like we were on this trip and we were saying, wouldn't it be great to take his 2 kids and whoever they're involved with and my 3 kids and whoever they're involved with on a trip like this.
Yeah.
And we saw a couple of grandparents that had their whole tribe with them. And we're like, that's our dream. Our dream is to have all of them with us and in whatever capacity. And we said, we realized that we'll be grandma and grandpa back with the kids while the parents are out having a night out on our vacation. And we'll love that.
100%.
Love that.
I love that. My mom's the same way too. Like we had gymnastics last night. My mom's like, I'll drive your car with the boys home and you and Rachel can take her car. I was like,
oh, that's a dream. Yeah.
Right.
All right. Love you guys. See you at home. Bye.
Yeah. You forget it when you're out of it. Like
Correct.
I'm out of it. You forget those little things that just meant so much. Like, let me bring you dinner for the night. Really?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
That's all week. She's like, so what can I make you guys? What can I make you? And this is my Italian mom. I'm like, this
all
and
the
this
pasta?
and this
Yeah.
and this. And I'm like,
Does she know where we live?
yeah, right.
'Cause
Come
we'll
on
take it
over.
too.
Come on over for dinner.
Actually,
right?
I have a date tonight with my 18-year-old son for dinner.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Did
That's
you,
great.
I don't know if you did this or if you're starting to do this, but my mom, I love that she did this for Seth. His senior year of high school, they had a monthly date night until he graduated.
Love that.
She was like, we went to dinner. She's like, he normally got to pick it. Like, it wasn't meant to be anything crazy, but like once a month, we got 3 or 4 hours together and just talked about life and talked about his life and goals and dreams. And she's like, I love that I did that with him. And I was like, that's such a good idea. I really love that.
I haven't done anything intentional with it, but normally on a Tuesday night, I would have McGuire. And she's at her dad's because of spring break. They had some plans for spring break, so we kind of swapped some days. So it's just him and I tonight.
Oh, fun.
So I said to him this morning, I'm like, do you want to go for dinner tonight? He's like, where do you want to go? And I'm like, where do you want to go?
Yeah.
And he's like, really? I'm like, yeah, let's go.
Lasky Tap.
So maybe. I don't know if he'd be that, he just likes food.
That's fair.
He doesn't care if it's Culver's, to be honest with you.
We'll do a live show.
We'll do it. Yeah, we'll definitely.
Well,
so anyway, I digressed a little on that, but
Well, I eat the risotto.
taking it on the road.
Yum.
Speaking of taking it on the road, do you guys follow Sandra Rank?
Yeah. Sandra. Yep.
She's doing, I can't remember. I'm going to mess it up. She's got like from this house type thing on Tuesday. And today they're going live from a location.
Oh, fun.
From a $3 million home in Green Bay. Like how fun is that?
Moly.
That's really, really cool.
So if we want to go live from there, I think we now have someone to chase. We're chasing Sandra Rank.
I think so. So Allie and I have done some Airbnb content for people now, so I feel like we could get in on one of the places that we
I know. I've been watching that, and I'm totally jealous of your little.
Got more coming, so very excited.
Can I get in on
That's
that?
awesome.
Can I get in on
You
that?
can be a model for something. I'm doing a fake wedding in a few weeks.
Oh, I want to get married.
Yeah, I already have my bride.
At a new venue?
I could be the mother of the bride.
Or
You
what?
could be, yeah. It's at the castle. It's at the Castle Vineyard in Cleveland.
Very cool.
So they have a huge. It's the same company that owns that big house that I did in Green Bay.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh well, we've got like 6 other ones. So do you want to do a mock elopement wedding essentially for us? And I was like, oh okay, sure. So they have an open house earlier in the day, but they're setting the entire place up like it's a wedding day.
Might as
and
well.
they're going to provide the guests, and I just had to provide a bride and groom and basically film a fake wedding for
Are there
them.
photographers coming in on that?
I have no idea. I don't know that for side of it. I've just been on the video side of that side of the
Sweet.
conversation. But yeah,
Love it.
was really cool. I was like, oh, very unique. But it was kind of cool to contact one of my newlywed friends and be like, hey, like, would you like, oh yeah, absolutely.
Throw on your dress.
Yeah.
Let's have
For
a
sure.
reason to
Yeah, so
Correct.
live it up again.
Yeah, I was like, and they've only been married like a year or two, and they were like, that would be so much fun. Yeah, we'd love to do that. I'm like,
I mean, we
fantastic.
can make a
Come on
little
in.
anniversary night out
Exactly,
of it.
yeah.
Like date night.
Correct.
Let's
It
go
seems
get
like
remarried.
you are really, really just like settling into this really cool opportunity in Colburn Creative. I've noticed like,
Yeah.
okay, so the topic today is, week in the life or whatever.
We haven't
Day in
gotten
the
there
life.
yet.
Yeah,
Haven't gotten there. I'm
plenty of time. If they read the title of the episode, they
I'm
know that's what we should be
transitioning- I'm
talking about.
transitioning
Thank
us
you for
into
getting us
that.
there.
Yeah.
because it seems like you have been so busy with the things that you've really wanted to do. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I appreciate you asking and noticing. I mean, it's funny, right? The happenstance of just kind of like falling into certain things that you want to do. And real estate, I guess, turned into the foray of how I got into this. But I knew that if I was going to shoot a vacation rental, I was like, I want to shoot it with people in it. Like, I want to see people in the house doing the things. And I kind of got a tease
More of a
that.
lifestyle shoot.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's how I've pitched it to other companies that I've worked with, or I've started to now pitch that back on like bigger houses to realtors that I work with as well. Like I've seen phenomenal videos of people out in California and Florida and some of those insane houses out there, but they bring in families or models to just like live in the house, like for the shoot. I'm like, that's what it should be, right?
Right.
You want to know what it's like to use the pool, to park in the garage, to cook in the kitchen, right? Like to see
Yeah.
all of that as opposed to just stereotypical photos and videos of like, isn't it pretty? Well, sure. A pretty house can still make you want to be a part of it. But I think the lifestyle aspect of it has been a lot of fun. And I think that it's catching on a lot more as well. And it's been a really cool instance because now I can dive into it deeper and I can take information and different experiences from different things that I've been a part of and apply that now, which has been really cool, which is where this wedding came from. And it was always the conversation ahead of time of like, hey, if the Green Bay house goes well, we're going to have like 5 other houses for you to do. And I was like, oh, okay, great. And they thought they thought it looked very nice. And I'm like, great, now we're on to the next one. So,
And it probably set a little bit of a motivation standpoint for
Correct.
you from the business end of it too, to be like, I really love doing this.
Correct.
So it motivates you in a different way too. That
exactly right.
Not saying the other work that you do doesn't motivate you,
But I think, and you and I have talked about this, and we've all had different pieces in our lives. But like half of it, and I think in life in general, is we want that one chance, right? Like, and that's what that's kind of, you don't want to ever sound desperate, but like half the conversation sometimes, like if you give me this opportunity to do this one time,
You'll
Yeah.
see.
I promise you
Yes.
that it will be exactly
Yes.
your expectations, if not better, right?
worth
Type
it.
of thing. And the people that have said yes, I'd like to think have reaped the benefits of that.
Correct.
And they've seen that I constantly over deliver, especially if it's either a lower shoot or a free shoot sometimes. Cause I'm like, I want to do more of these.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do everything I can to go. So now I've been able to land the higher paying jobs and be like, oh, this is what we were working for a year or so ago or 6 months ago. And now here we are, which is really cool.
it's awesome.
And I think adding the family aspect to it, whether it's what you're doing, whether it's what I'm doing, in so many elements, I can put an ad in the magazine of a beautiful car.
Yep.
But if there's a mom getting into the car with a soccer ball in the back and 3 kids eating a snack,
Correct.
it's more relatable.
100%.
It becomes more humanized. So you're taking this beautiful home and humanizing it.
Correct. Yeah.
And putting people that connect with you, pulls
Yes.
on your heartstrings.
Yes,
And it
very
makes you
much so.
more interested. I'd rather watch people in a home than just look at pictures on
Beautiful
Zillow.
home.
Correct. Yeah. 100%.
Because it makes it, you're like, I want that family. I want that life. I
It's
want
less
that.
materialized. too.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because people like Allie can take incredible, phenomenal photos, but when you do your lifestyle stuff, right, then all of a sudden there's a whole nother level, right? Like it's just the people that do the real estate photography have a gift and it's beautiful and it's perfect.
Right.
And like throw that lifestyle filter onto it all of a sudden, right? And you're like, oh, there's people, there's fun, there's excitement. Like it's more exciting and more opportunities for people to connect, right? We're like, oh, I'm a mom with 2 kids too. Like that. Yeah, we could go and go to this place. Like, all right. Like, I love it.
And it takes it from a picture of a beautiful home is great, but put a family in the yard now becomes, a beautiful house is great, but put a family in the yard or on the front porch or playing and now it becomes a home.
Exactly right.
So I love that. That's
And
great.
nostalgic, kind of like a
Very much
like
so.
a nostalgic feel. Like, especially if it's done.
It's
the way
relatable.
I've seen some creators shoot it almost like the old like home videos that we would grow up watching, right? Like, or I've seen the
with the date.
correct,
and the
like or like a
timestamp.
filter that's like placed over,
shaky
right? But it's
shoulder.
exactly. It's a little shaky. It's like not zoomed in properly or whatever.
The
but
lines
it's-
across the bottom.
But it's like that kind of
Real.
stuff sometimes, or like I've seen that like start and then flip and transition into like modern day. But I'm like, oh, like that takes a lot of people back immediately that are probably buying a house now or in this, the 30, 40 range. Like, oh, I remember that as a kid. Like, and it immediately makes you feel something. And now here we are into the house and you're like, okay, I see what you did there. I'm hooked now. Let's go.
Yeah,
Makes it so much fun.
absolutely.
So, but you were saying a little bit more about what a week looks like, right, for us, right?
Yeah.
You were kind of transitioning into that piece a little bit.
I was kind of saying that I feel like you've been spending your weeks doing a lot of the things that really fuel you and make you feel really good in your business. And
Yes.
I know you as well, like being able to land those really amazing partners. And for me, I've been really focused on like the motherhood part of my weeks in business and like taking time off almost. So I guess I thought it would be a good idea for us to just kind of touch base on that. It's a topic that a lot of our listeners really have some interest in, in terms of like what we do, and especially for the modern entrepreneur to relate to us in a sense of, am I doing this right? Am I taking the right amount of time? Am I giving myself enough rest? Am I burning myself out? I mean, I have experienced that in so many ways in my business where I felt like I'm not doing enough, but then when I'm doing a lot, I'm not giving enough time to my family. And so there's a balance aspect of it that what that looks like for each entrepreneur is so different. And so I think that topic could be really important for us to touch base on, for people to relate to us in, because all 3 of us, our days and our weeks look so different. And we are all business owners. We all do it every single day. We wake up and we have this dream that we want to serve or we want to create. And it just looks different. So Mandi, I thought maybe you could go first and tell us a little bit and touch base a little bit on like what your morning looks like, or your afternoon or evening, whatever that looks like for you and your business.
Yeah. And typically, my weeks are a little bit different because I am now coaching within our company. So I take that role basically full time on Mondays and Tuesdays. So Mondays and Tuesdays are dedicated to me helping other people in the same role that I am grow. And also then in a leadership role, I'm required to be involved in some of the leadership meetings. So that's what my Mondays and Tuesdays now look like. And my Wednesdays and Thursdays are my out and about days. So those are the days that I physically am in the community at some level, whether it's at a coffee shop, whether it's going to business owners, whether it's meeting with residents, whether it's prospecting, whether it's dropping off magazines. That is hours dedicated. And those are days that I don't have my kids. So I do that from 7:30 in the morning until 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night. That's just a full day for me. But the beauty of that is then my Fridays are really my Fridays. So whatever I need to get done. And if I'm really in a mode where I'm like trying to be out there in the community as much as possible, that's what my Fridays look like. But I typically make those what are my favorite parts of the business. So it feels like a fun day to me. So that's typically what my days look like. I never completely shut off ever, even on vacation. I just am not white. I think most entrepreneurs are wired to be plugged in. And we have to be mindful of it. I was just on vacation last week, and while I was at the pool, just laying in the sun with nothing else to do, I was doing some emails. I was scrolling some of my social media, responding to messages. So I wasn't completely unplugged, but I also wasn't like 7 hours on my phone.
Yeah.
But don't you feel, not to interrupt too much, but don't you feel that when you are relaxed is sometimes when you can be the most productive?
100%.
Right? Like as a business owner, at least, like I found that like, give me like day or two to like take it all out. And then like by day 3, I'm like, I feel so good. Like, I feel like I could do just a little bit, just a quick little bit, but I'm like, I'm fully present and here with this client or this message in the moment. And now I'm back out again and I'm relaxed, but I was able to get in fast, be super productive for a short period of time because all the noise was gone and then kind of get in and get out.
And I did the things that I never used to do. I put on the vacation responder, never used to do that. People didn't necessarily know if I was out of town because I'd respond. So I did do that. I also did all of my social media posts prior to leaving for the vacation.
Sure.
So I planned those ahead. So I wasn't actively trying to get creative while I was on vacation. Right. I was instead being more like reactive, like thanks for the like, thanks for the follow, da, da, da. And then one tip, I'll give a tip about my weeks that I do is if I'm gone for a conference or a vacation or whatever it is, I intentionally almost overbook myself for the following week when I return. Yeah. Because I know that it's sometimes hard for me to come back after 7 days of being disengaged. And then I like put stuff off and then it becomes day 8 and day 9 and day 10 and I'm dreading it. So I actually had an event when I came back Saturday. Yeah. So I flew in.
That's how I knew you were back. I was like, oh yeah, Mandi had an event today. She's back.
I flew in Friday night. We got home at 11 and on Saturday at 1, I had an all day event. And I was on it.
It's a really cool event. I like that.
Yeah, it was fun. We're doing another one in May.
Oh,
so
cool.
But that's my secret. I had 10 appointments on the books for this week, which is a heavy week. Yeah. But I need to come home to that heavy week. So every week looks a little bit different, but that's typically in a nutshell. I have 2 super long days, Wednesday, Thursday, and then Monday, Tuesday is an 8 to 5 in the office. Yeah.
Got it.
Day. Cool.
You had something you looked like you were going to mention before, or you were, is it gone already?
Yeah,
now?
It's gone already.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I think I was going to say on vacation, like being able to kind of unplug and when you feel like in the right headspace to be able to come back in and just feel really productive. Yeah. I think per person, like for me, sometimes that sets me off and feels like I can't like enjoy my vacation the way that I want to. But if you are the type of person that does feel really confident that you can kind of hone in quick, get it done, get productive, and then come back and be present, I think that's a beautiful thing. Absolutely. Because it also makes you really good at your job and it makes you really present and really purposeful in what you're doing. Exactly.
I like what I do. So I want to be plugged in.
Yeah.
I also am a very early riser and not everybody that I was with was an early riser. Yeah. So I would get up and do an hour's worth of emails. I also have a job where I have a deadline. Yeah. And the deadline doesn't care when I'm on vacation. Right. So I had a pub to approve and process. So I gave myself an hour. Yeah. And it was funny because the hour was almost up and I had a bunch of emails left and I closed the laptop and I put it away. Good. Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah. So that's a typical week for me.
I am an early riser when I'm on vacation.
Oh, me too. I'm like, here we are.
When I have a sunrise to watch in the morning and it's beautiful weather and I step outside with my coffee, I will be there at 5 a.m. 100%. Like I will be there and I will wake up very easily. Since I've gotten back from my latest work trip, I have had such a hard time waking up in the morning. Yeah. And it is like, it's ingrained inside of me. That's just like, I think subconsciously, I know that I want to be traveling more. And it's just like, it's hard because you get in this like mundane.
Because you had a really cool like month essentially, right?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. I can't really go into my week in the life or day in the life because literally it's so different every single time. In the recent weeks, I've been definitely just focusing more on mom and making sure that I'm doing the things that I need to do it within the walls of my home. But I obviously have started to send my son to full-time daycare. My daughter's in school full-time. So then my weeks become a lot more lenient on myself. I get to fill my time with more creative shoots. I do a lot of newborn photography. I obviously do a lot of different things throughout the day, but I try to schedule myself from 8:30 to 2. So I pick up my daughter at 2:50, 3 o'clock, and then I'm with them the rest of the night. So that's like my week in a nutshell. But the month of traveling that I had was just unreal. It was so dreamy. Cool. It was everything I could have ever imagined and more. And I think the flexibility and the not traditional lifestyle is definitely, it kind of has solidified and made me realize how much I really, really love to travel all the time. And it's definitely just part of I want to do it more, I guess.
Yeah.
So,
and you have a job that leads to that opportunity potentially.
Absolutely. Are you the same way that I am, that I feel like some of my best work has not happened in the confines of Green Bay, Wisconsin? 100%. Like I went to San Diego a few years ago. Some of the best stuff I feel like I've ever done or got to be a part of, right? Like I watched all the stuff that you were like sharing and I was like, this is phenomenal stuff. All of your stuff is good, but it felt like it was at a different level though, like the jumping photos.
Don't you think
and like
you're more
all this stuff.
inspired?
And I was like, absolutely,
the creative edge that 100% new location brings you, even going to Fond du Lac.
Yeah.
I had such a different viewpoint of what I wanted to do. And it was so much easier to create that content. Yes. Now in the world of photography, obviously the Cayman Islands is presenting.
It's hard to miss. It's
just a beautiful backdrop. Everywhere you look, like their roads are pretty. Like everything is gorgeous. It made me really, really inspired because of the people I was with as well.
Sure.
I actually met a really cool videographer there. Baxter, you probably awesome. I worked with a videographer during the wedding day. He was sitting next to me at dinner and he started scrolling through my Instagram. He's like, I want to follow you on Instagram. And he literally looked at me and he goes, if you moved here, you'd be done for. He's like, you would have so much work. But
you're like, great, book me. I love to travel.
Unfortunately, I can't start my own business there because I don't have a work visa to, whatever. And to obtain it, I guess it's really hard. But it puts things into perspective, I think, as well. Because we get into this like mundane lifestyle 100%. Of, okay, I'm bringing people to my studio. It's all kind of similar. Everybody has the same, like, I want you to take newborn photos of me in your studio. Okay. Obviously everybody looks different, but it's the same concept.
Same
so when you have something that's new and fresh and different, it inspires you differently. Absolutely, and then your work reflects that, I think.
Well, and I think we get used to what we have day in and day out, and we start to take it for granted. Every time family comes, where do you suppose they want to go? They want to go to Door County for the day. I don't go to Door County for the day hardly ever anymore because I live here and I can do it any day. Absolutely. So we get stuck in these like, the samesies, and we take for granted these beautiful old buildings or the alleyways or the beautiful Airbnbs or the homes that are here because we see them day in and day out.
100%. I try really hard not to take for granted. I feel like I find beauty in everything around me. I think it's really important to really feel fresh about, your own. I mean, the staycations and going to new places in your own town are so fun. But that's kind of just a little bit of the week and
I've been feeling that way though too, just about like the stuff I do in Manitowoc, right? Just a little bit. Like I get so excited for like a really good sunrise, or like summers in Manitowoc, like on the water, are really hard to beat for those that have been to that area, right? Like there's something about like being outside by the wharf or down by the water, and like it's summer and it's a really hard miss, It's like everybody enjoys going there. It's really beautiful.
Not to cut you off, but I used to live right across the street from the YMCA in Manitowoc.
Okay. Yep.
So my house faced the water.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I find myself thinking like, why did I ever move out of there? Because it's just like, those were like the days and weeks and months and year of my life that I was like so happy because I was a runner. I would run at sunrise. I would run at sunset. It was just fulfilling. And it's funny how you take for granted the things that are your everyday.
Yep.
And you're always like, for me, I'm like a scarcity mindset sometimes where I'm always like on to the next versus abundance.
Yeah.
Like I'm
look
always
at all
like,
this I have around me.
Yeah. Versus like now I got home from the Cayman Islands and now I'm convinced that I'm going to pack up my family and we are going to live in an RV and we are going to travel for 1.5 years so that I can just have that be my life now. And that's my identity.
People are doing it.
So
they are.
And it has been a dream of mine for a long time. So that is like, I told my husband that I was like, nope, this is not the life for me. I don't want to renovate a kitchen.
Yeah. Right.
I
want to renovate an RV.
I want to go. But so it's like kind of like that concept too, but I don't know. Yeah.
What about a week in your life, Baxter?
Yeah. That's, obviously ebbed and flowed a lot, but on a standard week, similar to, I have my kids Mondays and Tuesdays. But my Mondays, as of like 6 months ago, I started working 4 10s at my day job. So my Mondays are completely off from my day job now. And that is my full-time Colburn Creative Day. So typically it's either one or two like small shoots, like 2 to 3 hours, or one big shoot, depending on what's going on and how the calendar falls and what people's availabilities are, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Mondays is all dedicated to that. I love it because I get to bring my kids and drop them off at school, and then I get to go from there to my job, which is, or to whatever shoot might be, or a client meeting or whatever it might look like. So that's what it was yesterday, was drop the kids at school. Then I got to go have a meeting with a potential client and then go shoot with another client for 4 hours after that. And I was like, oh, this is a great day. I was fulfilled. I got to do very different things throughout the day, and it was amazing. So that alone, I think, makes that the price of worth the price of admission right there. And then Tuesday through Friday, I work through my day job. Tuesdays I'm remote. Wednesday through Friday physically in Manitowoc. So a lot of that is answering emails throughout the day, or messages throughout the day as I have time. And then it's editing, if I need to do any editing at night when I'm home after the kids have gone to bed, either after I've put Rachel to bed, depending on how she's feeling. But then all that's going to change as soon as baby shows up too, right? So then my week will shift again, depending on what that is. So
I think the consistent thing here is no 2 days for any of us.
Very much so, yeah.
I mean, there may be some consistency in this day is set aside for this.
It does help too, because people, I'm sure, have learned about your out and about days now, right? People have learned about my Mondays, right? And people have learned a little bit more about what your schedule is too. And I think, and I've talked about this too, having an editor or 2 editors that I've got now to do some of the stuff for me allows me to then be unplugged when my mom is in town now, or, my son has a play at school tonight, like that kind of stuff. So am I still thinking about work? Sure, but less, because I know stuff is getting done in the background while I can be more present.
Well, and there's
beautiful,
definitely a glamorous side to entrepreneurship, and that is typically being in charge of your own schedule. Yeah. So a lot of people are like, oh, I wish I had your schedule, right? That's what they say. That's the glamorized side of it. But the truth is that you have to make up the time somewhere.
Correct. Yep.
So although you might, be at every soccer game or dance recital or kids concert, you're making up that time somewhere. Correct. So I think that's like the message for the people watching. Like a typical week in the entrepreneurship life isn't going to be the same. Correct. It's going to be glamified by people that aren't living it. And at the end of the day, if we're not working, we're not making any money.
Correct. Yes.
So
it's very true.
Yeah. It's so interesting to talk about like how that looks different for everyone. And I think it's a topic that we could probably go on and on and on for, but
very true. Yeah.
No two entrepreneurs are the same.
Very much so. Yeah. Because everybody's life is different, right? Like, yes, Allie and I work in the same general vein, but she's over here and I'm over here. And then some days we're both here and then we're over there. And it's like, that's just the nature of it, right?
Or like your busy week is my slowest week.
Correct.
It's just
everybody's different,
part
right?
of it.
Ebbs and flows.
I love it.
I love it.
Well, and I love that we're back for season 2.
Me too.
We would love to, as always, as we said before, we'd love to hear the topics that you as a potential entrepreneur, future entrepreneur, lifelong entrepreneur would like to hear us chat on. We'll probably venture into some more guests this season as time evolves, but be sure to check us out wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.